Hey guys, it's Kieran. Just a quick market update. And looking at the most recent Bitcoin price action, not a lot has changed, but what's interesting is that we've gone out of this range. And you can imagine, I spoke about this, we've been in this range for so long, pretty much starting 17th of March all the way to here. A slight move here, but now we're back into it. Sometimes it seems like 2 steps downwards and then 2 steps back up again. If you draw a fixed range volume profile of this range, so pushed above, we found support here. If you draw all the way to here, the value area low now is 26.3. We've regained this. And now the point of control of this huge zone. This zone here is called the value area. So that's where 68% of the transactions happen. But it's an area of high demand. And so usually once you regain the value area low, there's a high chance of then going back to the point of control. The value area high here is 28.7. And we have that CME gap around 29.1 region. So that's something we have to look at. Maybe we get that, push up like this here, or even take a false break out of this liquidity and then a dump. So to wait and see. But now we're back in this range, so you don't want to blindly short stuff. Something else, if you're inclined, it's not really everyone's cup of tea, but if you're interested in just channel patterns, there is somewhat of an interesting measure move. We initially had that head and shoulder pattern, but now it's something different is seeming to be brewing up. So if you draw some kind of falling wedge, that kind of thing, if you're interested in that, if you draw this and the measured move, it actually goes around to 30k roughly. So that's just something else I'm looking at. We'll have to see if we reach that. Of course, this could be another resistance, but we've had so many now. At this point, it's a bit obvious. Sometimes it is a final stop run, a stop hunt before a final dump. We, of course, have this. So, particularly the session volume profile. 24.8. It was tagged from 16th of March. We've tagged it. It's not really relevant anymore, but we've left a new one now. The new one that's been left over now is 24.9k. And then this one here as well, so 26.4k, and then this one up here, so 28.9k. So these are kind of key regions of interest. Yeah, and as we know, the more, because it's called untapped points of control, the more it's tapped, the less relevant it becomes. This is something I'm looking at. What's interesting though is that on the weekly, we were actually, so let me just get this chart. So this was essentially looking at the Fibonacci EMAs. I don't usually use moving averages directly as part of my strategy, but I like to look at them sometimes. This is a 21-week moving average. We initially had a wick below it last week, but now we've regained it, which is interesting. So that's interesting. So that is a kind of strength in some ways for bulls. And this could be a potential higher low before another, at least a retracement. If you draw a Fibonacci of this, so potential Fibonacci is 28.6. That might be a particular 618 rejection. So have to wait and see. This is something I always look at. So on the weekly, we actually wicked off this 24.8k region. Then on the 5-day, we've actually bounced off this so far. Sometimes what I spoke about is that when you have a push above of this 5-day Gaussian channel, and please appreciate this is the 5-day chart, usually statistically you do get a move of 30 to 40%. But sometimes in the process, you get a pullback to the top band, and in some cases, you could get a visit to the 22.5. Whether we see new lows or not, we'll have to wait and see. But there's a chance that 19-20k might be the potential final pushback before push new highs. So if you always bear that in mind, always consider that you could be wrong. And what if it is a low? You don't want to be in a situation where your ego is coming into check and you're not buying anything purely because you think the low is not there yet. I've been there, done that. So the mantra is never be all in and never be all out. Let's also look at the wider market as well. So looking at particularly the SPX. And this is a chart I've been showing for a really, really long time. And we're back in this above range here. So the point of control in this region is around 4.4k. We regain this key weekly level around 4.3k. And so we'll see if we reject here or we make a push to this 4.7k roughly region, just 4,666 region. Of course, nothing happens in a straight line. You might get one minor pullback. Maybe we retest this key weekly level as support, and then we'll have to wait and see. And so really speaking, there is little on the way to here. And of course, a lot can change. It's about keeping up to date in the space. And sometimes does give a clue for Bitcoin and other risk-on assets. Dixie, we reached that harmonic target I spoke, 104. Now we've had a pullback. But it's amazing how I've drawn this channel and it's extending back for a really, really long time, so many decades. And we've bounced off this support line pretty much to the T. Just amazing how you can draw a line and it just bounces off sometimes. We slightly front ran this key weekly level, so 104. We'll have to wait and see whether we get that. But perhaps we do get one final retracement here at least. The VIX essentially has reached this key support level from 4th of August 2021, roughly. And questions, do we pull back now to the 17th of December, so 2019 low? What happened was, in the peak of the bull market, the VIX actually reached all-time lows, but then it bounced off. And when it bounced off, it really correlated with a really nasty movement for risky assets, and they started dumping. The question is, is this some kind of false breakout? Let's go to the lower time frames. So I can't confirm as of right now if it's a false breakout yet, because we need to really regain this level. So we'll have to wait and see how this evolves. Gold, still floating with that point of control from this macro range. I do think we do get that final push above, and we'll have to see if we create new highs. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility. And if we did do that, what are some potential regions that we might go to? And of course, it's looking more macro point of view. So this is a Fibonacci expansion. And so potential exits could be 1272 expansion, so maybe the 2.2K, or maybe even 2.3K. So I would expect if we did break out, we'll at least get this, and then we'll have to wait and see if we go back into this range. Total crypto market cap is still at 1.04, 1.035 trillion. As I said, I didn't expect us to get above this the first time. We'll have to wait and see if we get this Black Swan event box eventually tagged, but it's still a mile away. And so this is the thing, you have to never be all in, never be all out. Bitcoin dominance is, reaching the level I spoke about for so many weeks now. Essentially what happened was we had this key level of support here left behind on this run up here. We bounced off this in 2018, 2019. Support on the way down will naturally be resistance on the way up. And so now we're attacking this region, and I believe actually this zone really expands from 50 to 53%. So anywhere we can have rejection here. You have to also bear in mind that once this actually breaks out, and we've already broken up from this all-time high here, what happens is that very often it can really hurt altcoins which start to bleed. And so you want to really play this carefully. You don't want to be too exposed to altcoins. Now looking at the ETH to Bitcoin dominance, and of course Ethereum is in some sense a marker for all the altcoins, it can really give a clue. But we initially had this first touch point, second, third, fourth touch point of this trend line, and then we initially had this move above, but we slightly front ran this key order block, and then we moved back in this range. So this was somewhat of a fake out. And in some ways, this kind of really goes with that whole narrative of ETH Bitcoin dominance, just general Bitcoin dominance, how money, you have to be very careful not over leveraging yourself to altcoins, and perhaps Bitcoin and trading might be a bit more lucrative. So this is something to look out as well. And ETH, again, we bounced off that monthly level here, so 17.8, and we probably do get one leg up, at least to 1.8K roughly, so have to wait and see. And of course we have that key monthly open, which is 18.72, so we have to wait and really see if we at least regain this 1.8K, and potentially that guy might move leg up to 18.72. But so far, these are the kind of key levels I'm watching. If we can stay above the 1.7K, maybe we do get a leg up to 1.8K. But guys, thanks a lot for watching. Do check out my YouTube channel. This is where I post my passion for crypto and also market updates, and really tips to really fast track your trading and investing career.